Hey Libra, this is your general tarot reading for Libra, Sun, Moon and Ascendant rising sign for the month of December. Libra, can you believe we've come to the end of the year? Can you believe we've come to the end of the decade? We're about to enter a whole new decade, and you are actually about to enter a whole new chapter where there's a bit of a gateway opening, in fact a lot of a gateway between now and January, opening up for the whole of 2020, where you get to resolve some of these more painful things that you've been experiencing. And where have you been experiencing them, Libra? Mostly to do with your home, your family, how you feel about people now, looking to really do things in your life with a greater sense of purpose and meaning that makes you somewhat personally happy. So a lot of those issues around family, home, personal happiness, inner peace, they're all starting now to have more like a clear run at getting resolved. So you've all of 2020, kind of, you're at the starting blocks now, Libra, and you can see the finishing line, and you're going right into 2020 saying, I know how to fix this. It seems, Libra, many of you have been asked over the longest period to do two things: to have victory with your career, because you've the North Node of Destiny in your 10th house. So push out there, don't be afraid, don't feel vulnerable, don't feel like you want to be private. Get out there and do something that you're absolutely passionate about. And I think many of you are doing that, switching your careers to do something more, it's like creative, but caring. You've to care about it, but maybe the other people that you're doing the work for also have to feel like they're being cared for. So many of you could have switched into types of career fields where it was like the healing industries or the helping industries, the hospitality industries, even property, the buying and selling of possessions, properties, anything like that. There is a feeling of, I've got to make better connections with people. If my job is about selling something, I've got to sell them a dream, but not just any dream, a dream that I believe in. I've got to offer something genuine and sincere. I've got to mean it. I've got to work it like I mean it and mean it like I work it. So that's definitely going to bring you victory as we go into 2020. Doing projects, big things, putting your neck out a little bit because something matters to you. It's deeply mattering to you. So success is on the way. Will it happen this month? I don't know. Probably not. But this is like the plan for 2020. But the doors to it are opening now. Now, there might be doors opening to new houses, maybe doors opening to new family members, with Jupiter going into the 4th house this month. The new moon is in the 4th house for you. It's all in Capricorn. You've Saturn, Pluto there also. You've got Venus, your ruler, in there for a while, and Mercury for a while is going to be in there too. So there's a huge emphasis on what I think it's like the hall door, the key. You're being handed the keys to your new kingdom, Libra. So you're at the door, and 2020 will allow you to step through. So you're at the door possibly of a new home, or the complete and radical change of your home. The change in dynamic in your family life. You might see certain family members move, come, go, change up the order somewhat of the family. Family might, have new children, or they might be going through difficult times. There is a feeling of, I'm at the front door with the key and I'm ready to go in to deal with everything that's going to change. And to actually get real enjoyment from this. We're on the threshold, Libra, and sometimes when we're on the threshold, there's a fear. What if I put the key in the door and I don't like what's going on within my family? If I don't like the home situation that's happening, if I can't sell my house, if I can never buy this house, if I can never find the dream home, or whatever it is, or the personal happiness I'm looking for. So you're on the threshold, taking the deep breath in, but it begins to go in, as I said now, Libra. This is where you see the changes happening. This card just hopped out there as I was talking, and this is Moon in Gemini. And we do have the full moon in Gemini this month. Yeah, that's happening for you in your 9th house. The full moon is on December 12th. So many of you this month might see the end of a few things. For some of you, it might be the end of study. It might be the end of like prolonged examination of something, disappearing into a corner to examine, to absorb, take information in. That seems to end somewhat, or the pressure to study or take some situation all in. That ends, so that's good. But when it ends, there's a feeling of, now that you've learned what you've had to learn, you have to go out there and share it. You have to go out there and do something with it. You have to go out and be practical with it. It's no use knowing a bunch of stuff, Libra, if you don't apply it. I mean, Libra, you're one of the most creative signs out there. You love beauty, you love art, you love design, you love how things all flow into each other. That's a passion in your heart that now needs to be brought maybe to the marketplace, brought as a business. Yeah, no more thinking, no more focusing. You've learned enough. You've learned what you need to learn to go into the next phase. Now, for some of you, as this card hopped out, strength, you are certainly getting stronger after this full moon. Dealing with foreign things, foreign people, foreign clients, foreign business, anything like that. That seems, some of the pressure maybe that some of you had going on there might come to an end. Ninth house sometimes is also to do with the legal system, judgments, courts, adjudication. Some of you might have been worried, am I going to be judged on something fairly? And I guess you're going to be, Libra, because the worry is taken out of that this month. So that's really nice. It's, for me, I feel as I said to you, you're standing in the doorway with the key in your hand saying, right, let's do this. Let's do this. As this card suggests, I'm getting hold of my fears and I'm wrestling them once and for all. And I'm putting some demons to rest here. I feel with all the energy in the fourth house, some of you might have to show either a little bit of mercy or forgiveness to a family member. I see many of you maybe over the last period of time getting very involved in, like deprogramming negative childhood narratives. That's really coming to a fore this month with the full moon in the ninth house. It's a Gemini, communication, ninth house. Very often it's our inner narrative, the laws by which we stand. And I feel many of you now are having a real turning point in your life where you're saying, I'm really sure now that I can change my inner narrative. I'm really sure now that I can break away from the past, maybe talking down to myself, that script, believing that I'll be no better than maybe what I've been led to believe. Very often if you're reared in an environment where you're kind of told, well, this is all you need to expect from your life. Look at us, your hometown, your family. We all did this. Don't go beyond that. And I get a feeling that many of you are now saying, finally, I feel the expansion. I've actually really gone beyond the limits that maybe some of my hometown programming has given me. Yeah, the card of looking back into the past. Yeah, something from the past needs to be let go. I see that in the cards. I'm just waiting on 4 more, my love. But it's a really great time. It's a really great time. As I said, you're having a real turnaround moment. You're getting stronger. You're putting those last pieces of the past to rest, but not in a fake way, but in a very, I absolutely now believe my future is going to be bright. I absolutely believe my family life is going to improve. Even if there are a huge amount of changes, it's not negative. I believe that it's going to work out. I genuinely believe it. And it's not a case of believe it, I believe it, I believe it. It's like, I know it. I just know it. I know things are going to get better. I know I'll have my happy ever after ending. I just bloody know it. So it's a strength of conviction here, Libra, I feel with you. The fear is going. I know many of you have been worrying about family members or your connections. Even some of you are working and resolving some of the ghosts of the past, maybe a situation or a thing, maybe a key moment from your past that negatively affected you. There's a moment this month where you say, I was forced to deal with that, and thank God I did, because now I actually feel like I don't have to worry about that anymore. It's not like this skeleton that I have to keep shoving in my closet. I'm actually over it, really over it. Or at least I'm beginning to put the key in the door and say, happy life, honey, I'm home, so it's really like that. Yeah, it requires a bit of sacrifice, though I see that. Now, other things I'm seeing, for those of you who are here to listen to what's going on with your trade, your kind of getting things moving, maybe even traveling or communication, it's all very positive. I see many of you coming up with great ideas this month, and a lot of passion this month going into figuring out a way to get your money really working for you, to get your paycheck working for you. It's smart things with money. It's like you'll be inspired. I can make money doing this. If I sold that, what if I gathered all the stuff I don't use in my house and sold it on eBay? What if I clear out my garage, my attic, and kind of sell it somewhere? I can make extra coin. I can make extra coin doing that. And for me, it feels like there's not a huge amount of effort. Just like that, I can sell that. I can do that. I'm kind of skilled at this. That can make a few coin. So that's very good. Very good. But Mars in the second house there again, I feel that there's a lot of need this month and push and drive for you to really get into that confident zone again, Libra. Get confident, get bold. I just keep feeling you've learned what you needed to learn. You've gone through the school. You've gone even through the school of hard knocks. You've gone through a tough period where you had to show mercy to people who may not have deserved it, or mercy to people who nobody else was showing them mercy. So I'm going to show them mercy. I'm going to forgive them. I'm going to welcome them. I'm not going to let anybody fall behind here. So there's again that feeling of, I feel good when I'm helping other people, or I feel good when I'm giving my voice to something very compassionate, I feel. Something that helps it's like, this makes me feel good, and I'm giving my voice to that. So that's very good. Now, when it comes to relationships, I see for some of you in a relationship, there might be some issues around money, and your partner's attitude towards money. You might have to have a serious conversation with them. You might have to dig deep and find out what's going on. For some of you, if your partner is holding the purse strings, if they're the one that's bringing in the majority of the money, for those of you who share resources, this could be a real turning point too. There's a feeling of, let's have this talk about how we share our resources. If your partner is very overly in control of the finances, or how money is spent, or where you go on vacation, it's like if their opinion is a little bit too strong, that might need a conversation this month where you say, hold on, I'm Libra, bring this shit back to balance, please. I'm happy that you're bringing in coin. Maybe what I'm not happy about for some of you is that you feel you get to call the shots because you're bringing in the coin. So for some of you, I know that might not be for all of you, but that might pop up this month. Now, the sun is in the third house. Again, talking, communicating. I wouldn't be surprised if some of you had to do some presentation, public speaking. And if you're doing it, the sun is shining on it. It's going to be a real big success. But for me, the big energy for you seems to be happening around the full moon, around the 12th. And it's a lot to do with family, home, stuff like that. So we're just waiting on one more card, which actually popped out. And it's nice to see him here. The full moon in Gemini, and this is quite a Gemini card. It's a very mercurial card. Yeah, maybe you do need a little bit of magic at the end of this month. And you know what? A lot of energy in the fourth house, my love. You could have huge psychic moments. Real kind of, this changes everything. I have felt the magic. I have felt how magic works in my life. I have felt how the universe has been guiding me all along and directing me. I have felt spirit point me in the right direction when I didn't know where I was going. I have felt magic at work in my life. So for many of you, we end the month. It's a very Gemini style month for you. 9th house, a lot to do with wisdom. Your mercy and your compassionate heart brings a huge level of wisdom, which then seems to bring you some victory and success. You know, but there's magic, there's opportunities coming at the end of the month that seem to be almost unbelievable. You know, like when a series of paths cross and you look at it and you say, no way, this is too good to be true. You can't make this shit up. This is somebody, there's a hidden hand behind this. There has to be. Universe, you know, you're getting sloppy here because I can see your work. Aren't you supposed to be more mysterious than that? I have seen how you are opening doors for me, or at least giving me the keys into my hand so I can open the doors. I said that, this phrase, the keys to the kingdom. I don't know what that's all about, but that's what I feel. So Libra, let's go over to your big grand, ta-da, overview. So I said, this is the full moon in Gemini, this card, and this is a Leo card. Some of you might be ending a conversation with a Leo, ending some fear or competition or something going on maybe between you and a Leo sun, moon or ascendant. That could be coming to an end. That's very super literal though. But in this case, I feel, or vice versa, it could be that you need to be stronger in the face of a Gemini sun, moon or ascendant who might be overpowering you somewhat a little bit. You know, Geminis don't usually overpower people in that kind of way, but who knows, maybe there's something going on. But to get to the real crux of what this couplet means, it's the full moon bringing you a real opportunity to end some real deep fears about how you can handle some of these family situations and where you're going next. Is spirit really supporting me? Is some of the crazy crap and the difficult moments around my home or my family life or the separation or the division or whatever's been going on there, was there any sense to any of that? What was the point of all of that? Universe, were you just trying to give me a hard time? Were you just trying to make my life difficult? You're Libra, you're there saying, what was the point of all of this? What have I learned? And this is where the universe kicks in and says, here's what you've learned. You've learned how to be more compassionate. You've learned how to show mercy in the face of difficulties. You've learned when really things get so hard or unresolvable, which bothers a Libra, not to be able to resolve something, but when things get so unresolvable that you're able to still feel okay on the inside. You know, I'm Libra. I need some conclusion to this shit. I need to feel that everybody's okay. I need some sort of balance here. What have I learned? What have I learned? Even without balance, Libra, even when there's no happy ever after to a chapter of a story, that you still feel personally okay, that you still feel strong, that you still feel like it's fine. It's fine. I can deal with this. Maybe I'll never resolve some issue around the family. Maybe that family member will never stop giving me a hard time, or maybe that family member might not improve in some way. Maybe not. But the wisdom here is, but how do I feel about that? How do I feel about not being able to control the conclusion of that? That's my fear. My fear is not being able to fix this. And that's the demon that's getting slain. It's, I'm still okay even though I can't repair something or make something okay for everybody. I'm still fine. So that's a big learning curve. Sometimes it's not you who makes everything okay. And that has to be fine by you. No matter how hard you try, sometimes you're not the one to make it okay. That came in quite strong. So it's like, take that responsibility off your shoulder, Libra. Maybe it's not you. Maybe you're not the one that has to fix everything and bring peace to everything. Just before I go to the next section, I just felt something there too, with all the energy in the fourth house. I talked earlier about childhood stuff. Again, you're standing on the threshold of breaking through some maybe real unresolved stuff from your childhood or from your hometown. Fourth house sometimes represents mother. We've a new moon, also very mother energy in the fourth house. Maybe some of you are starting all over again with a brand new relationship with your mom. You know, the relationship is changing and maybe expanding with Jupiter in there into something more beautiful, being blessed more in some way. If that's not possible, then maybe there's a feeling of, for me, it's just that feeling of mercy and forgiveness. They brought me up like that because they didn't know any better. If they knew better, they would have done it better. They just didn't know better. They came from a different time, a different generation. They came from a different place. They didn't go as far as me. They didn't push the boundaries like I did. They didn't experience what I've experienced. So they can't relate to what I've been experiencing. And again, that feeling of, but I get it now. It's okay. I don't have to get angry with them. I just have to know that I've moved past being angry with them. And when you move past being angry or trapped by a memory, you can look back at it and it just doesn't have the same triggering effect on you. And that's what I like about this month, Libra. It's the beginning where you're able to look back and say, I don't look back in anger. I just don't. Now, Libra, this is changing tack here now a little bit. This is a very, the card of, it means a few things, but it means wisdom. You being able to stand out on your own 2 feet as an individual, not within a group of people, but on your own, with what you know, with what you've learned, with some knowledge that you've accumulated. And you get to stand up somewhere on your own at the start of the month, and you are recognized. You're recognized for your wisdom. You're recognized, I feel, for a kind of, like even a leveling up of how you judge things. People are applauding you, or they're coming to you in some way to say, wow, Libra, we know that many times you're the bigger person, but this time you really are coping with something, dealing with something, handling something, figuring something out in such a new kind of big way. So you're getting people coming to you and saying, I love your work. I love what you're doing. I love how you stand head and shoulders above everybody else for something that you're doing. It's just this feeling of accumulated knowledge, accumulated wisdom. You've gone through the school of hard knocks, and it's just like a very warm reception for some serious focus on something. So it's good, very, very good. Just looking down here, I feel for some of you, again, coming back to this thing of healing, forgiveness, health, being the bigger person. If somehow there's a money to be made in that, then that's where you're being recognized too. So what would that be if you're in the medical field or the, emergency services, maybe police, army, where you go in and serve and protect or heal or nurture or care for or build or construct. There's a feeling of being very rewarded for that. I mean, you being a parent, maybe this month at the start of the month, somebody could love your parenting style, or kind of acknowledge you for how you handled a situation with children or something like that. So it's just this feeling of somebody, you just get appreciated very early in the month. Appreciated for some serious work that you're doing. I like that. Now, mid-month, you're looking back into the past and trying to reclaim some self-value and self-worth, because there definitely seems to be a key thing here. For some of you, it could be an issue related to a father figure, a male family member, a male figure where you probably clashed, or maybe they weren't there. There's a feeling of, I need to get over this thing of not maybe having a male figure in my life that was a positive or that was present. I'm looking back into all of that and I'm fixing that. I definitely am. If it wasn't a family member, there seems to be somebody from your past, strong earth energy, maybe sun, moon or ascendant in Capricorn, Taurus or Virgo, and you're looking back and you're saying, I'm really finally going to heal and have a success of healing from maybe a negative effect that they've had on me. For some of you, it could have been a business project or an investment that turned sour. And again, you're saying, I should just pick myself up from this. There's no point in kind of dwelling on this. I've got to heal this. And I'm not one for, pick yourself up and dust yourself off and pretend like it didn't happen. No. Really get into the root of it. You've got Mars in the second house. Get into the root of where you might have lost some self-worth or confidence, where you didn't feel that you had some level of support to speak with great confidence or to value yourself in some very powerful way. And mid-month, I feel you're having that conversation with yourself, possibly even with a therapist or a family member or somebody about, I'm really turning the key in the door and I'm actually going to feel now that I've gotten through that negative thing that happened in the past. I don't have to keep believing that I belong stuck in a negative memory either. Now, this is complicated. I don't know whether to go there or not. I probably should. There's a feeling here of, in some cases, there might be a real eye-opening moment for you where there was somebody from the past who you kind of looked up to, idolized, really thought that they were everything. And there could be a moment around the time of the full moon where you have to let some of that, putting this person on a pedestal, let some of that go. But you're saying, I can't, I love this person. They were a real positive influence for me. Wonderful. Let somebody be a positive influence. But for me, it's a feeling of this past person or past situation having way too much dominance over the direction of your life. It's like, say, if there was an older family member who might have gone on to the next part of their journey and they kind of instilled things into you, which is wonderful. Hopefully you take all the positives, but there might have been a couple of negatives, like, oh, never trust men or never trust women and they're all after your money or they're going to leave your something. But when it's said through the voice of somebody you love, it's very hard to separate. You can't say, well, that must be wrong. Why would they lie to me, such a person that I love? So do you get what I'm trying to say? Maybe somebody from the past who you really looked up to, it wasn't that they were lying to you, but they might have been giving you, say, 90% positive instruction on how to go forward in your life. But they could have a couple of weird things. As I said, don't get involved with people and don't do this. And that's what has to go. Putting even the negative advice on a pedestal. For me, there's a type of a dissection this month of what is healthy advice. What was I taught back then that isn't actually serving me now? that doesn't work for me now at all. And I have to really be super honest with myself and say, it's time to ditch that now. Even though it was at one point like a tower of wisdom, it was once like a tower of wisdom, it's not a positive thing in my life anymore. And it's unsettling me and ungrounding me. You know, parents very often, they all do their best to try to give you survival tools. And unfortunately, some of those survival tools only applied to them and not to you. And what should have been a great gift has turned out to be a bit of a hindrance to you. Do you know what I mean? You know, it wasn't done out of malice. So, as I said, there's a kind of a dissection moment where you say, no, not all men are horrible. Not all women are after my money or want to do this, or not all people only want to take from me. There's something I'm forgiving here, and I'm deciding what's right for me for a change as I go forward into 2020. And that's you there sitting down, Moon and Cancer energy, sitting down and saying, what is best for my future? What do I stand by? What moral code do I actually go out there and live by, that people can see that this is who I am? And you have to think about that. What is the narrative that I present to the world? In some cases, some of you this month, mid-month, it's almost like changing a lot about yourself. If you were brought up, again, I know I keep going back to this, but it's so strong, Libra. If you were brought up saying, it's all about the money, it's all about the money. You can't get ahead in life unless you have this degree, that degree, and you've got to get ahead and you've got to... Or vice versa, you know, money is the ruination of everybody and you're better off with nothing. Again, for me, it's that thing of sitting down and say, fine, I get why I was kind of somewhat indoctrinated with that, because they were supposed to be survival tools. But now, what's my path? What do I represent in my life? Say, Moon in Cancer, and Cancer's in your 10th house of, it's time for me to be my parent. It's time for me to be the responsible adult who gives direction to me. So my first role as a parent or a responsible adult in my life is to sit down and look back into the past and see what doesn't serve me anymore. So that's, as we're going into 2020, I feel like that's the big tidy up. That's the big healing. Getting rid of the negative programming, which was unintentional more than likely, and getting rid of that and cleaning yourself up so you're going into 2020 as the one who's saying, I get to decide what is the correct path for me. Just me and my imagination, my heart, my connection with spirit, my connection with the universe. That's my narrative now, you know. But coming towards the end of the month, this is a really, sometimes we say this is the happy ever after, but there's a lot more to it than that. When we see tens, we're always talking about a conclusion of something. This is a Mars and Pisces card. And for me, it's the conclusion of anger. Not being angry anymore at people who you couldn't previously forgive. Maybe some of those people are even in spirit. You know, some of those people could have been even bullies from your past, people who tormented you. You know, hopefully it wasn't you, Libra, but if you grew up as a kid being bullied in school or anything like that, that leaves a huge effect on an adult life, huge. And there's a feeling of my happy ever after comes when I am not angry about how I was treated wrongly, how I was treated unfairly, how certain situations from my past actually made me kind of sick, psychologically or spiritually. I'm making a huge effort now. This is a Jupiterian card. Jupiter has moved into the 4th house. I'm making a huge effort, not just to forgive, but to completely sacrifice it, hand it over to the universe, release it and say, I'm not angry about that anymore. You know, if a parent left when you were a child, I'm not angry about that anymore. If a parent maybe wasn't great with money, or they weren't very solid or secure in some way, you're saying, I'm not angry anymore. I'm not using that as my narrative anymore for not getting ahead. There we go. I'm not using the pain of my past as a narrative anymore for not getting ahead. And there's the happy ever after ending, when you can say that. I'll just say it again. I'm not using the pain of my past as a narrative to stop me from getting ahead. That's what I'm sacrificing. That's as the doors are open and my keys are in my hand and I'm going through. This is what I'm wiping my feet on, the kind of welcome home. Oh yeah, welcome home. And I'm not bringing that. I'm wiping my feet of that before I go into my 2020. And it's no great sacrifice at all. At all. Now, again, this is twice that I see Cancerian energy coming up. And Cancer is very often like home energy that you're dealing with. But it's also career energy for you. I feel at the end of the month, very, very tail end of the month, some of you, it's like switching up how you communicate in the work that you do. If some of your work involves communication, the way you speak to people, if you need a bedside manner, or if you need whatever it is in your work, it's like relax more into it. Don't be like trying to overly give, like overly. And there's a way to balance this out, Libra, because I feel at the end of the month, it's almost like being emotionally drained or emotionally exhausted because you've been maybe working so hard on all the stuff that we just spoke about. There could be lots of conversations going on with your family about family issues or about the home that you live in. Could be a lot going on. I see some of you trying to bring something to a conclusion within your family life, but also within your work life, really wanting. It's like, I want this new chapter. I have the keys to the kingdom now. I want this to happen. I'm exhausted, I'm tired, and I'm drained from not being able to conclude some matter in that area. But before the month ends, as I said, in comes the Magician. The Magician, who is one of the three cards, the Magician, the Fool, and the High Priestess, who've been in the presence of limitless light, say the universe, the higher energies. And that's where I feel at the very end of the month, there is some amazing thing going to happen to you, an opportunity. But it's like a gift from the universe. And I really believe, Libra, at the end of the month, whatever this thing is that happens, like I said at the beginning, there's a feeling of, I know that was you. I know that was you, universe. I know that was you, spirit. In fact, some of you might be forgiving spirit, maybe somebody who's crossed over, and you might get a very nice response, a real physical response from them, and in the way of a new opportunity. As long as it's done from a sincere place, obviously. And you'll know that was your sign, that they heard you. Oh, Libra, just at the very end of the reading there, I got a bit emotional because I think some of you are forgiving somebody in spirit at the end of this month. And the feeling of, but they won't hear this. And what I'm feeling is that you're going to get some sign, real physical sign, that they did hear it. And why I'm getting emotional there is because I felt a real release. It was like, now that that's happened, I really absolutely genuinely believe that it's over, that we're good with each other, that we love each other, that we can forgive each other, that it's finished. Huge forgiveness and a huge happiness comes as you step into 2020, Libra. And I'm delighted for you. I'm absolutely delighted for you, because I think you've been through enough. I think it's been so confusing and just kind of unnecessarily difficult at times. But you, as always, you will blossom and emerge. You will always come out, your Venus, for goodness sake, the beautiful one, you will always come out smelling of roses. Sometimes we need the shit to put at the foundation before we can grow beautiful roses. That's how it works. Libra, I'm going to leave it at that, my love. But as you know, these are just the general energies of the month. To get into the real details, the nitty-gritty, the what the heck is going on with relationships. For the singles, is there love this month, Money, career, family, home, friends, or anything we don't talk about here in the general readings. We're going to go right deep into them. In the Vimeo readings, the deep read, Libra, come along. There's a link down there in the description box. Click into it and I'll see you over there. But if not, my love, I'm going to leave you, as always, with a happy holidays if you're celebrating this month. All my love and a great, great, great big welcome home kiss from me to you. Mwah. Until next month, my beauty. Bye.